Hey, welcome, Town Hall Academy tribe. Carm Capriato here. Now, if you're new to my channel, please click on the subscribe button, then on the bell to be notified when we release great new content that you can use. And every video is released as a podcast that you can listen to mobile. Just go to remarkableresults.biz/subscribe. Enjoy the Aftermarket's original and only single subject weekly forum, the Town Hall Academy. Enjoy. We're here to talk about improving workflow in the shop. Man, I have to tell you something. If there's one, you could talk about financial KPIs all day long, but somewhere along the line, there's a foundation called, well, how efficient is that shop, and can we make happy customers? And it all comes down to workflow. So this panel, I have to tell you something. They sent me some notes on what they want to talk about. You're in for a treat. Real treat. Who's with me? Mike Davidson, Parkway Automotive, Little Rock, Arkansas, and also from Industry Essentials with the Department of Labor approved apprenticeship program. I'm excited, Mike, for where apprenticing is heading in this country.
Yeah.
And I know you were on that thing years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm actually, next week's Town Hall Academy is on apprentice stories. And two of your people are going to be on with us.
Yeah.
So we can't tell that story enough. Corey Ivaldi is with us, Olmsted Auto Care, Olmsted, Ohio. And
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, great to have you, man. I'm from Buffalo, and that's Corey's hometown too. Andrew Minkler, Bavarian Motor Repairs, Capitol Heights, Maryland. Hello, Andrew.
Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you here. And Steve Wooten, Technical Advisor at Ultimate Auto and Truck Equipment in Cromwell, Connecticut. Glad you're here. The reason that a Town Hall Academy continues to be here and be here for you and all this great stuff is because we have a couple of great supporters of the show. Shopware wants to remind you, stop spending time chasing customers. Shopware's leading shop management system is helping shops just like yours generate more profit per ticket with less time on the phone. Break away from your legacy system. Move it and implement a completely contactless workflow today. Get started at getshopware.com. And have you realized that your marketing looks exactly like the same as the shop down the street? Well, your shop is different and deserves marketing that is unique to your shop. Let Shop Marketing Pros show your community how different you are at shopmarketingpros.com on the web. Okay, team, let's jump in this thing. I know that this is going to be a lot of fun, a lot of great ideas to share, and let's just have a great conversation. Mike, I want to start with you. The biggest area to cover in workflow issues, you have an opinion about that.
Yeah, I do. It comes down to it's like everybody's shop is going to be different. And so when we talk about sharing what we want to share today, I could go through and talk about the individual things of my business and how they work and what they do. But when I think about each individual shop and how different we all are, is like, what can I really bring to the table to help a shop owner really decide or discover what is it that's going on in my shop and what can I do to improve workflow? And the first thing that a shop owner should be doing, or manager, is to just is to listen and observe. And I've spent days in my shop where I just set a stool in the shop and I just sat there and I just watched. That's all I did. I just watched behavior, and I watched what people did and how they communicated. There's people that get paid a lot of money for behavioral studies. Well, you can do that all by yourself. Just get a stool, set it in the shop, and start watching. And you'll begin to identify those things that could be done more efficiently. So I don't want to take up all the time with what I thought. I want to be sure to have others all be a part of the conversation. So that's where I start, is just observing.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. I know you've got some other great stuff to contribute, but Andrew, you wrote to me and said communications and expectations with customers is huge. I mean, you're kind of tying in with Mike just said. This can't be this simple. Listen, communicate, discuss. It can't be this simple.
Yeah, I mean, well, for us, the front end, the communication to the customer is where it all starts. I mean, it doesn't make much sense when you're thinking communication with a customer for how your shop flows. But for us, it really does revolve around, does that technician, is that pressure on him to get everything perfect every single time? When we communicate properly with the customer, we set those expectations. We're actually buying a lot of time for that technician to make mistakes. And we sit down with our shop all the time and say, listen, Olympic athletes, they train since they're 6 years old, 10, 12 hours a day. Have you ever seen one trip and fall just running? We're going to make mistakes. It has to be okay. In our shop, we're timing everything from start to finish. We know how many minutes this test drive, the routes it takes, all of this. But you got to have the communication with our customers to allow that time. And tricks we do to kind of buy that time. We're really explaining what we're doing in advance for the testing. Every single vehicle that comes in our shop, it's going to be tested 2-3 times after. The minimum repair after test in our shop is 10 miles. When you start explaining, the details of, hey, here's why our shop reviews are different. We're not this other shop. We're not the dealer. We're going to build a great relationship with you as a client. Here's how we're going to do it. So we're basically building that conversation with the customer. That same conversation happens with the technicians. You need to watch them. That's phenomenal. Sit on your stool and watch them. I started off, I think, with 2019 or so. We did the World Pack cruise. And I was one of those shop owners that said, hey, if I can't leave, the shop burns. And that was a really good learning experience for me as a shop to just say, hey, the shop's still here. I learned so much by being away from the shop. Sitting on a stool, that's phenomenal. Yeah. Just watch your guys. See what they're doing, see how they're doing it. Let mistakes happen. And then, let's find some corrections for those mistakes.
Hey, which one of you guys is the heavy time study person? It would be you, right, Andrew? Do you have that dial timer?
We got rid of the chicken eggs. Yeah, we got rid of all those. So we just have the old, we bought like a 20 pack of you set the timers. If you're getting a 1 hour checkout, come on, 35, 40 minutes in, you're going to really, really, really document what's going on. And you need to assess really, and all of our technicians, I mean, we've hired some unicorns. We have some guys that are absolutely incredible. They need to be paid for their skill and for what they bring to the table, not the seconds in a day. What they can achieve in 45 minutes is absolutely phenomenal. They're just hurting themselves and the shop by not, kind of following what we've figured out is a good rhythm. We have kind of developed where we had to dial it back with timing everything. We can get it done in this amount of time, but then we start feeling like we're in that sprint and let's dial it back. Let's make less mistakes. But for us, I mean, it really, Rick White was my last coach, really taught me, you taught me you can't fix what you can't measure. So let's measure some things. Let's assess what needs to be corrected and let's correct it. For me, I came from a technical background, which I'm sure most shop owners can identify with. We always think, hey, we can fix this. We can do this better. Sometimes it's better to let your guys make mistakes. And if it's a repetitive thing, then let's make some adjustments to it.
Thank you for that, Andrew. Corey, the stuff that you sent me was all about systems. It was an amazing review of your workflow process. I'd love for you to give us a highlight, and then we can continue to talk about it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree more with Andrew and Mike. Watching our technicians and our processes and just trying to find the holes in it is key. But the one thing that we like to do at our shop is that communication. The communication that Andrew talked about, talking from our customer to our CSR, but that goes throughout the entire shop. And even though it may not be a verbal thing that we have to talk about, it's still somewhere in our shop. So we have a system where it's hybrid, right? We're digital and we still use paper ROs, and basically for many different reasons. The paper is great to have a physical thing you can write your notes on where the next person will pick up and see, and it's just a clear indication. But we go completely digital because we have monitors that are in our shop that show where the vehicle is in every step of the process. So one thing that we saw quite a bit was, a customer would call and check out their, what the status is of their car. And, it was terrible to go, well, let me find out, and put the customer on hold. Now we have a system where it gets tracked. Most of it is automatic, but some of it we have to do manually. But regardless, customer calls, hey, how's my car doing? You can go, oh, you know what? Chris has got it in the shop right now, and he's just finishing it up. And literally that information is right there for anybody to see. Whether it's in our shop, let me say this. A customer is usually handled by 4 people. My CSR, the general manager, a service technician, and an advisor. Sometimes multiple advisors, sometimes multiple technicians, depending on the scenario. So all those people need to be in constant communication, but that's not taking them away from their job to just talk about something. It's, okay, this is done in the process, the next person can go on. And it has to work with both sides. You hear so much about the front and the back and the communications that don't happen in between. That's completely wrong. We need to make our technicians so efficient. Everybody's got to help that technician. However, it's not just on the technician. The technician also has to help the upfront. How many service advisors out there that price out a job and have to ask a technician, what was the production date? Or, it's a GM truck, and is it 2-piston or single piston calipers? Those are big time vampires that people don't realize that. Our service advisors have to make sure that they're using the catalogs correctly, ordering the correct parts, correctly pricing out the job. Our service technicians, when those parts arrive, they're clearly labeled what job they're for, what technician, everything, and the estimated time of completion. That technician is responsible for looking at those parts right away, and if there's any kind of discrepancies, letting the office know so that they can hopefully get the parts there within the reasonable amount of time before they're dead in the water. Anybody standing around is no good, whether that's your advisors or your technicians.
So I've been in the industry for a long time, like 35 years. And over the course of time, I've worked at several different shops and had different systems to manage workflow. Simplest one is having a bunch of racks where you put your ROs and your folders and stuff in, and each technician has a slot and you keep them in order. So if you have to move things around during the day for promised times or when parts are coming in, you can move those manually. We went fully digital last year when we switched over to Shopware. And there was a lot of anxiety about not having paper anymore and not having this visual work flow in front of us. The first 2 weeks or so, we were still using the racks with folders and printing out ROs just so that there was a little comfort level. But it was surprising how quickly we transitioned over to 100% digital, and we don't even use the racks anymore. The workflow screen for Shopware has a few shortcomings, and because it is being served up live on a web page, you can use Google add-ons to actually customize it. So we basically took the existing work page and stripped out all the service advisor information on our main board. So it's only technician information and only the information that needs to be seen to determine what's going on with that vehicle in the shop and how it's being tracked. And it's worked really, really well. We've also, everything's on tablet or phone. It's entirely up to the technician which one they want to use. I have 2 techs that prefer to use the phone. The other ones prefer to use the tablets. And it's one of those things, you got to trust your guys that they're not texting and making phone calls on their phone. They're there to make money. They're there to do a good job. For the most part, it shouldn't be an issue. But it's a process. And like you said, Carm, it's got to be something that works for your shop. Whatever we talk about today, if shops can take 1 or 2 pieces of what we're talking about and implement them in their shop, that's great. My system may not work for all the other shops that are out there, just like Corey's and Mike's and Andrew's may not work either. But if you can take a couple of pieces from different people and implement them and just track the workflow, it can make a huge difference. We literally, since we went to Shopware and going fully digital, our sales have gone up 40% since the same time last year. And we feel like we have less work in the shop. We're doing less work because we're more efficient at doing what we're doing. So it really can improve the bottom line if you take the steps to move forward with it.
Thank you, Steve. We're here to talk about, improving workflow, managing, tracking, scheduling, improving productivity, customer expectations, barriers to finish work on time. We need 4 or 5 hours to do this, right? Am I right? In order to do it right. So in essence of trying to do this in 40 minutes or so, let's continue to dive in. Everyone has kind of given their highlight and their point. What I want to know, guys, and I want you to just go from here, is, Corey, it sounds like you've got one hell of a process. Mike, you just love looking at, at the detail. How often do you have to pay attention to this? Because apples fall off the tree.
Yeah, I'll jump in on this, Carm. It is about it is. If we want to talk about that particularly, it does matter about who you hire and their ability to follow your processes you put in place. And something that Steve said a minute ago, and Andrew as well, and Corey as well, but like this process that you want to put together for your organization, one of the exercises that we did is we took example, an oil change, the simplest service that we do in our industry, but most would agree to that. And we created a timeline for the advisor and the technician, and we identified everything that we currently that has to happen for an oil change to occur in my business. And you might be shocked, but there were 40 things that had to happen for an oil change to occur from the point of customer contact to delivery. And the invoice paid, 40 things. And so we laid this out on a timeline. We identified who's responsible for what on the timeline. And then we begin to look for ways, what can we, on that timeline, can we eliminate to bring the one thing the customer wants, which is a fixed car in a timely manner. And so that timeline helped us reduce those numbers or make each one of those little boxes more efficient. How do we make getting the keys to the car more efficient than we are right now? Every step was analyzed. And so taking whatever it is you want to improve upon and creating a timeline would be another diagnostic tool that I could recommend to shop owners to sit down and say, how can we make this better, guys? And we did it as a team meeting, not Mike sitting there trying to figure it all out, because I only know what I know, and it's very limited when I start adding the minds of my staff. And so what happens is that you're right about the apples falling off the tree, but they won't fall as far when those people have, as we all know, have bought into it, have been a part of making that system really what it is. And then you start, if you're measuring your technicians' efficiency and the productivity of the shop on a regular basis, that's real important to do, because when you make those changes, then you can see if it impacts it positively or negatively. So if we don't have that measuring device in place, as Corey mentioned, and then you make a change, you don't really know if it did you any good or not. And so you might be interested, if I can say this real quickly, Carm, I'm writing another book. It's called Technician Time Management. And it's specifically talking about this right here and everything else. Been working on it for about 3 months, and I probably got a couple more months before it's done.
He's a book writer, guys. One of the
I look forward to seeing that.
A great contributor of our industry. The payroll book, the apprentice book, and now time management. How cool is that?
And if I could, I noticed Mike said improve. So you want to improve your systems and process. You want to improve your efficiency. And there's got to be other shop owners that have the same mentality. You want to wait till you have the perfect plan, then you're going to execute. Throw that away. Stop doing that. Just improve it. And you've wrote the 40 steps that it's going to take. And come Monday, something else is going to come up, and that's a challenge. And if it's repetitive, then you put it in your system process, how you handle that. Because I guarantee you, there's somebody's going to pull a strip drain plug, and that needs to go in the system process as well. So accept those challenges, wait for those mistakes to happen, embrace them, because guys, we've been doing this a long time, right? It's going to happen.
I know you're all begging at the bit to say something, but thank you for talking. I mentioned the metaphor of the apple falling off the tree. And then after I listened to Mike, I realized that in order to make the apples fall less off the tree, you have to fertilize the tree. Aha. There's the mental picture.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. I let me, if I can jump in here, I got to agree with all you guys. One of the things that we've done for our, to fine tune our process on the technician side was our digital inspections and just how the flow of them works. I mean, just to make it make sense from the time the technician walks out the bay to the vehicle to the time, then they take a test drive and they bring it in, they check the lights, they, do the under hood, all that stuff, make it flow for the technician. That way he's not having to scroll through on the tablet or anything. And some of the process, I came up with just doing it. But then after some time, once we got acclimated to DVI and we started measuring how long it took us to do our inspections, then we go, okay, we need to dial this down. We need to make our inspections go a little bit quicker. So then I brought the whole team, and we do meetings every day. But this particular time, we spent about maybe 2.5 weeks of every day in the morning talking about our DVI and what changes that we can do. And sometimes we would only go through one day, 15-minute meeting, we would only get through one topic, one category of the inspection. But it was, did we need canned notes? Were the canned notes that we had sufficient? Were there too many? Did it take too long to scroll through? Were there ones that we were missing that you're constantly typing in? We did all kinds of things like that as a collective group. And when you do that, the shop owns it. It's not one person just dictating it. It's everybody going, yeah, this is what we need. This is how we do it. And absolutely, once people get that buy-in and they see the fruits of their labor, and my guys will not do an inspection without DVI. They just when the internet ever goes down, it's a terrible day.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Yeah, we had Comcast leave us on the hook for about 48 hours. That was unkind, unpleasant.
What's funny is you get the guys that, when you first introduce DVI and they tell you how long and how much of a struggle it is. These are the same guys that they won't do it now without.
Yeah, you've got to suffer through it, and you've got to figure out your own way. I mean, not everything is perfect. We've got a Samsung phone at every single bay. We got rid of the tablets. We use an app called PhotoSync. The second I take a picture, every technician has their own computer right in their bay. That photo goes right to its own file, and it's categorized by year, month, date. So they can drag and drop which ones they want right into the DVI, mark them up, you're done. It's extremely, extremely efficient, but you're right. It didn't start like that.
Right.
Do it yourself, struggle, understand the struggle, figure out a way around it. Just improve it. It's going to go a long way.
Carm, you're muted.
The car muted himself there.
I know.
I did. I did. I was following my own rules, and then I broke it. Where was you guys are talking about something so important, because there's still a lot of people on the fence for DVI, yet COVID proved how important cloud-based everything is, and how smart we need to be. You bring on the DVI, it takes a while to get it integrated, assimilated into the culture, into the process of the business. Is anyone willing to talk about now, today, what kind of time restraints or requirements do you put on them so that you can accomplish the right car count and the right workflow for the day? You don't want someone spending an hour. What would be a good acceptable time frame for that?
For us, it's kind of dependent on what your task is. Are you doing a basic wrench-free inspection? Are you doing a PPI? Again, everything in our shop has been timed to where we kind of know what's acceptable. Usually 6 to 8 minutes is a normal basic inspection. You're going to mark things up if you've got some things to make a customer aware of. But a lot of what happens in our shop is not just DVI. We bought an Autel Maxi Sys Elite solely for the vehicle check-ins. I mean, it gets a complete vehicle scan. That thing's amazing. It emails it right to the front office, and all the faults get copied and pasted right into the RO. If the advisor has time now, he's running bulletins and everything. So when that technician gets that RO, that wrench-free inspection goes that much faster. That PPI goes that much faster, and he's able to actually do that proper DVI with more efficiency.
I have a question. If he has time, you just said that. If he has time, Andrew,
What did I say about what? Sorry.
Well, all the codes are
Oh,
brought
as
to the
the service advisor.
and we're
Yeah.
going to create bulletins if he has time.
I'm the service advisor right now. That's why I said that. No, we've hired on the intern, and she is absolutely incredible coming on as a technician. But she's really filled a massive role for me, taking on a lot of that. Natalie just kind of, the shop doesn't revolve unless she's in it.
Got it. But would it be a requirement though if you weren't the guy doing it? You weren't on the counter.
Yeah,
we need. Okay.
Yeah, she knows how to log into BMW and run all the run the vehicles, see if there's open recalls, see if there's everything. There's nothing. I mean, having worked as a tech for years and years and years with so many incomplete, repair orders, there's nothing worse than getting your DVI completed and then you realize, oh, this is a recall, this is that. So there's a lot of things front office can do to help them be more efficient.
Okay, guys, I want to stop for 1 minute. Thank again our great sponsors of the show. Have you realized that your marketing looks exactly like the same shop down the road? Are you tired of just cookie cutter websites? It's bringing you new clients. Is it really? Let our friends at Shop Marketing Pros create a website that is as unique as your shop on the web at shopmarketingpros.com. And of course, Shopware is a great supporter of the show. Wow your customers while keeping your distance, even while staying 6 feet apart. Shopware's innovative technology will help you move cars through safely and efficiently. Completely digital workflow allows customers to review, approve, and pay for repairs all in one place. Request a demo at getshopware.com/carm. Imagine I got my own page over there. Amazing stuff. Hey, team, look at you got to get you schedule for your day. You got to get the DVIs done in the morning so you can rock and knock the workout during the day. Any kind of discipline you could share?
So the one thing that I could say, and most people until they work the system don't understand, the inspects done by noon is a huge point. All right, that is one of our processes in our shop. If that vehicle comes in by 10:30 in the morning, that inspection has to get done by noon. And the whole principle behind that is, let's flood our advisors with work early in the morning. Let's get them estimating, talking with our clients, everything, because when's the best opportunity to sell? In the morning. If we're waiting until the afternoon to try to sell a quick brake job,
Not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. But you get our technicians checking out cars. Boom, 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 boom. Our advisors are now getting flooded with good DVI inspections, repair orders, whatever the case may be. They're calling the customers, doing their presentation, they're ordering the parts, they're scheduling when all this stuff can get done. Then you have a process of when the parts come in, how they get checked in, and how they get dispatched. Towards the afternoon, after lunch, really, it kind of flips. Now our technicians need to be the ones that are, got to hustle and get the work done. Our advisors are there to still make sure that everything is operating smoothly. And, there's some jobs that they have to still estimate throughout the day, but everything that gets inspected. So when my technician's done with their last inspection, the first one that they did, we've got parts here, they're waiting, everything's waiting to get installed. At that point, it's just boom, 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 boom.
Couldn't agree more.
I would add too. It's just like that process of setting it up in the morning for that inspection has just been key to success for getting that work done even by that day or that afternoon, or even realizing that it's a larger job that it's going to carry over. So now that allows you to do a little moving of the plates, if you will, on certain jobs that you need in order to have a successful today and even a successful tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely.
It all starts. It's like, and I say it this way to advisors or to staff members: everything matters. And a term that I've used for years for technicians, for advisors, is that your job is to set the table for the technician, so that the fork and the knife and the steak is all there, and all he's got to do is eat. That's what he does. So set the table for your technician, whatever that means for your.
Let them do what
shop.
they do best: fix cars.
Yeah.
Put yourself. One of my things with the inspect by noon, put yourself in the client's position. To Mike's point, if you got a bigger job, most customers, when they ask you how long it takes, the number one thing, don't ever tell hours, right? That's not what the customer really wants to know. They want to know, is it going to be done that day? Do they have to figure out transportation?
Yes.
Are they keeping your courtesy car? Whatever the case may be,
Mhm.
they're not really asking you what your hourly rate is or anything like that. If you gave your car to somebody, wouldn't you want to know earliest in your day on how you're going to have to plan your transportation?
Absolutely.
That's all our clients really, really want.
Yeah. Yeah. And if I could, to circle back to something I was mentioning earlier, why we kind of communicate to the customer what we're doing to test the vehicle and then after test the vehicle. So it's very easy for me to say, hey, Carm, looks like we're going to have your vehicle done around Tuesday, about 10 a.m. Now, after that, we do an after test procedure. It's 3 phases: test drive, bring the vehicle back in, check the readiness. So I'm not going to explain in detail like this, but this is what we would be doing. So we're going to retest and reinspect that vehicle. A master technician is going to be handling all of that after the repair. So we do want to keep due diligence and have the time to do that properly. And that always keeps adding on to the amount of time your technician can afford to kind of have the things that happen in our day happen without losing that efficiency. And that's what you kind of want to always keep having that conversation. Another little trick that we do at our shop, on the service advisor computer, 9:30 a.m., 11:30 a.m., 1:30 p.m., there's an alarm going off. We're breezing through. You can either follow, if you want to do your workflow vehicles, follow where they are in the process. But we reach out to every single customer. 9:30 a.m. Everybody's been hit. Hey, Carm, we've got your vehicle in. We did a really detailed check-in. All the contact points are wiped down. Now we're underway with the testing. You're just always staying proactive. There's nothing that's going to spoil a relationship more or lose the value you're trying to build up if you let a customer start calling you. That's the worst thing you kind of want to have happen.
One of the things that we've seen is, along with those notes, is with the software we're using, the customer gets a link to the repair order after the original estimate is done. So it's gone out for the inspection. Service advisors sent it off to them for approval. That link is live during the entire day. So periodically, some customers, they need to have their handheld. So they're constantly logging in, and my computer or someone else's computer is pinging. Basically, it's the advisors that's handling that ticket. And a lot of times they just want to see what the status is of their car. And we don't have to make the phone call, make the contact like you're asking about, because if they really want to see what's going on, they literally log in and check and they see what's going on. And sometimes they'll post a note and say, hey, is my car still going to be done by the end of the day? And we can respond to them right there. I do believe a lot of people don't think it's the best way of doing business, but phone calls are a waste of time in most cases. You spend way too much time talking to the customer, explaining things that could have been done in the RO itself. If you have something that can be shared electronic form, they can read through all the notes that your technician, and anybody has made, as well as the estimate. And believe it or not, the pictures, the writing, all of that stuff sells way better than we do, because we let our personality and our tonality get in the way. And doing it electronically, believe it or not, we sell way more work electronically than anyone in the office has ever done. Picking up the phone and calling a customer. The other thing is, you don't need to leave a message. When you leave a message, you're waiting for them to call you back. And that has been a huge improvement for workflow, not having to wait for the approvals, not having to spend 15 or 20 minutes explaining the job to a customer.
Yeah, and if I said call, let me correct. I'm in context. So we use Ring Central, so we have texting right away. So all we're doing is highlighting, right in our shop management system. It's web based. We're highlighting it. We're sending it through TechMetric, through Ring Central, through just texting right each contact. It probably takes about 6 seconds per guest for a client. Just texting, hey, Steve, you're in great hands. We're underway. If I'm pinging you at 8:30, 9:30, letting you know we're underway with your vehicle, and I follow up with that inspection report at 11, it's very detailed. We're not going out of our way to really express that, hey, we've been putting some time in on your vehicle. You're building value. Lucas Underwood's really big on it. Something that we probably both picked up from Rick is always express your value. Hey, we've got a master technician giving your vehicle undivided attention. All these things, but you're 100% right. DVI is the way to go. No way around it.
Yeah, the DVI will show how long you actually take. When a customer has that and they're going through, they realize this was not no quick process. This was something that took time, attention to detail, and like you guys said, I can agree. It sells itself. You send that to the customer. You see when they open it, and then you give them a call or they call you, or even text messaging, and you get the approval right away. I mean, it's powerful stuff.
Yeah, it certainly has helped move business to another level for all of us when we all went digital with vehicle inspections, and then the texting and all that, and now even text to pay, where we can now talk about something else when they do pick up their car besides the money. That's all done, and those kinds of things. So all of that kind of technology has helped move things along. And so before Carm wraps this up, I had when I sent my notes over Carm, you remember I said at the end, I said I had one question that every shop owner can ask to find out what they need to do to diagnose their shop and what they need to do to make things better.
And I've been waiting all week to hear that answer.
Okay. So the one thing I counsel every shop owner, when you want to try to discover and diagnose what it is that's going on, I just want you to go out to the bay, and I want you to go to each technician, and you've just got to ask them one single question to create a job description for you for that week. And that question is this: what makes you stop? And then start taking notes, because you're writing your job description on what you need to fix that week or what says to change, improve, make better, to help all that what we're talking about workflow. Because every time a technician stops, that's production stopping, and that's workflow. It's not getting a fixed car in a timely manner. That's what the customer wants, and that's what stops when he stops.
Everybody's shaking their head. So Mike, with that in mind, you talk about being able to litmus test your processes and your systems by that, if you will, very micro view of, the person that's, if you will, in charge of not necessarily the final product, but who actually has to do the work. Do you all look at efficiency ratings to realize how well your workflow is working?
Yes, I measure it every single week, and it goes out to the staff, and they see it. It's also a part of reviews that happen at 6 months and a year for all the technicians. And so in the book and Technician Time Management, I'm providing those spreadsheets that allows you to put in those numbers for available time, actual time, and build time, to actually know each individual what they're doing, or what your team is doing, what the shop is doing. So it all automatically is formulated in there. So that you can know, because that's an important tool to help you know when to hire more people, or if a technician needs better tools, or if he's not using the tools that he does have. What is it that's in the way? It could be his knowledge. It could be billing. It could be the advisors in the way of his efficiency. So all of that is a tool that can be used to say, where are we? Let's make a change. And did we make an improvement? So you've got to measure it.
Hang on, guys. I want to come back and I want to put a bow on this thing. And this has been phenomenal. And I think we just can't do justice to this. Maybe we have to do a part 2 real soon, because you guys just dropped so much good stuff on us. What's as easy as 1, 2, 3? Well, Shopware's shop management system allows customers to review, approve, and pay for repairs all in one place. Keep your staff and your customers safe while maintaining profits and keeping your customers happy. Learn more at getshopware.com/Carm. And does your social media truly represent your shop, or is it just plain vanilla generic stuff? Well, it doesn't have to be that way. The experts at Shop Marketing Pros listen, create social content, and they connect you to your community. shopmarketingpros.com on the web. Boy, I loved where we went with this thing, and I think there's a lot. Think about your talking points, team, and anything that you didn't cover that you'd love to share. And let's do this.
One thing I wanted to bring up is, not just seeing when their technicians stop or your advisors stop. What's being duplicated? Why are we doing things twice? Okay. I've got a good example, and one of them is our DVIs and the technician's recommendations, right? The technician makes a recommendation, then the service advisor interprets that recommendation. The service advisor retypes that recommendation, puts it into the SMS system, and then possibly even sends that out to a text. Why are we doing that so many times? If we have a bi-directional DVI system, where that technician's recommendation, now whether it's a canned recommendation or they did it, it has to make sense to the client, has to make sense where if it was a standalone, where it doesn't just say my recommendation is to replace, because when your CRM program grabs that, it just says replace, replace left front wheel bearing due to noise. Let that recommendation automatically flow through to the SMS program into your recommendation and your CRM. That way it eliminates so many different steps that your advisor also has to do, and everybody's on the same page. So, those are things that I think are highly overlooked, especially when we start talking into CRM programs, that just because a customer declines a service today doesn't mean that they won't be back in for it in 30 days. And if we're giving them that reminders, if we have that system that's going to remind them about that needed service, we need to have it make sense. But I don't think it needs to be entered in 3 or 4 different times in different locations, just to make that process all work.
What he said, Mike, I couldn't help but think, what makes you stop? And I was thinking of the service advisor, service consultant, bookkeeper. Everybody in the company should be asked that question.
Exactly.
Right? Because you actually brought up that question. Why are we entering it twice? Well, it may not necessarily be the technician who enters it once, but the person who stopped maybe was the service advisor that was doing a redundant task, and they may not feel it, but then that team meeting helps you discover that stuff.
That was one of the reasons why we had switched from what we were using before. We were using our writer with a add-on DVI, and they didn't really play nicely together, even though it was the our writer's own part that they had added onto it. It was called I don't even remember what it was called, but it was their own DVI, and it went along the lines of what Corey was saying about the technician making a note, and then we had to transfer it into a recommendation and create a recommendation, make more notes. And we were doing things 2 and 3 times. And that was one of the reasons why we switched to the SMS we have now, because the technician makes a note and recommendation that gets modified and or edited by the advisor, who then builds the actual estimate for that recommendation. They're all in one place. Mm-hmm. So there's no duplication of the effort. It's just the advisor cleaning up kind of tech talk if it's not perfect for something that you want the customer to see. And it really makes sense, because the customer sees the text notes, they see whatever the stuff was cleaned up by the advisor, and then they see the actual estimate for the repair all in one place, and we're not duplicating the effort multiple times.
It seems like the theme is redundancy here in this last 10 or 15 minutes. Thank you so much, Steve. Andrew, what would you like? Anything that I believe, Andrew, you could talk for another hour on this. But what was there anything, Andrew, that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, this is normally my time when I call Kevin Eckler and I bug him, and we usually just bounce stuff back and forth, and we will usually talk for hours. Improve, just keep improving. And it's been said multiple times here, just keep measuring. Don't try to do everything at once. I mean, this has been, for us, it's been over 2 years in progress, just trying to refine the process. Don't go for perfection. Start with something super easy. We all know systems and processes, but if we're being honest with ourselves, how much time do we really spend doing one little systems and process? It gets kind of washed away in the busyness of the day, but do it. I started with vehicle check-in. That was the easiest thing for me to tackle, because everybody knows how to do a vehicle check-in, and we've completely revamped it. So we do 27 pictures, a complete vehicle scan, all kinds of documentation, and we're doing it in about 7 minutes. We're checking everything in, so you got a complete kind of overall picture. It took a lot of time and a lot of revamping. Do we hook the scan tool up first? Do we do this? Do we do that first? But be okay with that. I mean, if you guys are in my shop, hey, band meeting starting Monday, we need some ideas how we can get vehicles checked in more accurately. My thought is, you guys are all unicorns. You guys are phenomenal at what you do. I need to get more information in your hands so you can do it more efficiently. So we're going to start on this on Monday. Write those down and make them the norm. You're going to start seeing something that you can replicate and duplicate every single day.
Great advice, Andrew. Thank you. You got the last word, Mike. Any other great advice, like what makes you stop?
Yeah. Well, it's always about just bringing that team together to discover, because I always believe that the people who have the answers are the people that are on the front lines. And so involving them, and because we can sort of get frozen as shop owners as to, I don't know the answer to this. I don't know how to figure this out, or whatever it may be. Well, the first people I go to are my staff, because they know, most of them know what the problems are, and they also know what the answers are. They just need me to use my resources and ability, and the guy that signs the check, to facilitate it, to make things happen. And so that's what I would just leave you with. Just include them, and don't feel like you have to be the one that has the answer. You're just the one that's going to facilitate getting the answer and making it happen for your team.
Thank you, Mike. Mike Davidson, Parkway Automotive, Little Rock, Arkansas. Corey Evaldi, Olmsted Auto Care, Olmsted, Ohio. Andrew Minkler, Bavarian Motor Repairs, Capitol Heights, Maryland, near the Capitol, I guess, near Washington. And Steve Wooten, Technical Advisor, Ultimate Auto Truck and Equipment from Cromwell, Connecticut. I think we could have gone on for a couple of hours here, and learned a ton of great stuff. But thank you all so much. I appreciate you coming here talking about improving workflow. Have a great weekend.
You're welcome. Thanks, Carm, for having us.